Hello, are you ready to learn for today? As our topic for today, the different properties of a parallelogram. So the pictures that you are seeing right here are actually already a representation of the markings and also the properties of a given parallelogram. So as you can see, makakita kayo dyan ng limang iba't ibang uh, parallelograms at that also represents the five different properties of a parallelogram. Some of these are familiar na tayo based on our lesson before kasi 'di ba nag-discuss din naman tayo ng mga conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram, and those are some of those conditions are also considered as properties of a parallelogram. So for today, i-discuss na natin ano-ano ba yung meron or characteristics ng isang parallelogram aside from opposite sides or two pairs of opposite sides are parallel. And to start, umpisahan na natin, ano-ano nga ba yung mga properties na meron tayo pagdating sa isang parallelogram? Ano yung mga bagay na makikita mo sa isang parallelogram? First, ayan, ito familiar na kayo. In a parallelogram, the opposite sides are congruent. Ayan, so katulad ng sinabi ko, familiar na tayo dito. For example, in a parallelogram ARMY, we can say that this is a parallelogram because line segment AR is congruent to line segment YM, and line segment AY is congruent to line segment RM. Or what we call opposite sides are congruent. Yan. So sabi ko nga familiar na tayo dyan. So I think kailangan or madali na sa atin magsagot ng mga examples na katulad nito. Application ng opposite sides are congruent in a parallelogram. For example, we have here quadrilateral IDOL and not quadrilateral. It's already a parallelogram. So parallelogram IDOL. So we have here the given ID or side ID is equal to 7 centimeters and side DO is equal to 5 centimeters. Given that following values of two sides, we can say that uh, the measurement of side LO is equal to, it's also going to be 7 centimeters. Very good. Next, how about side IL, anong measurement kaya niya? It's gonna be also 5 centimeters. Yan. So this is an application of opposite sides are congruent. And aside from that, we can also identify values of variables even if the given values for the sides are uh, a given algebraic expression. So for example, we have here parallelogram YEAH. Yan. If YH is equal to x plus 4, ayan, and the side EA measures equal to 18, that means we can solve for the value of x by making YH is congruent or equal to the measurement of EA. Therefore, we can equate x plus 4 and 18. Yan. So, by that, pwede natin i-compute yung value ng or i-solve yung value ng x. Lipat natin yung 4 sa kabila. Magiging x is equal to 18 minus 4. Yes, very good class. So, ang magiging value ng x natin dito is gonna be 14. So, that makes our parallelogram having opposite sides are congruent. Gets po? Ayan, dito sa part na to, medyo walang bago no? Especially kapag familiar na tayo with this given property. At the same time, condition din nga siya based sa pinag-aralan natin last meeting. So, I think we can now proceed with the second property of a given parallelogram. Ayan, the second property is another property that I think you are aware of. The the opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. Yan, alam na din natin to based on our lesson before. So as an illustration, let's have this parallelogram LUCK lock. Ayan, we can say that this is a parallelogram because the opposite angles, angle L and angle C, are congruent. At the same time, another pair of opposite angles, angle U and angle K, are also congruent. So, present yan sa isang parallelogram. As an application, let's have this following parallelograms. For example, we have here parallelogram TIME. Yan, since this one is a parallelogram, if angle E or the measurement of angle E measures 75 degrees and the measurement of angle M is equal to 105 degrees, therefore, ayan yung given natin. What do you think is the measurement of angle T? Yes, it's gonna be 105 degrees and I think alam niyo na yung susunod na tanong. What's gonna be the measurement of angle I? 75 degrees. Okay, so that applies our property which is opposite angles are congruent. Ayan. Next, let's have this parallelogram FLOW naman. Yan. So, the same application as what we are having with opposite sides are congruent. Ganun din, pwede natin i-apply just in case ng values ng ating mga angles is represented by a given variable. For example, we have here angle W measures 2x and angle L measures 110 degrees. Since we know that opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent, ibig sabihin, pwede nating sabihin na angle L is equal to or congruent to angle W is equal to angle L or congruent silang dalawa. So we can also say that 2x is equal to uh, 110. Yan. So that means, yes, I think we can just divide both of this by 2, making our value of x be equal to 55. So in this case, x is equal to 55. This makes our parallelogram having the property opposite angles are congruent. Gets po? We can now proceed with the third property at ito yung tingin ko bago sa atin. So, the third property of a parallelogram is that the consecutive angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. So, what do we mean by consecutive angles? 'Di ba? Yan yung mga angles na magkakasunod when it comes to a given quadrilateral. At the same time, pag sinabi nating supplementary, that means ang sum ng dalawang angles na to or pair of angles na to will be equal to 180 degrees. And one good representation of having 180 degrees as the sum is forming a straight line, 'di ba? So, for example, we have here parallelogram PLAY just for us to illustrate this given property. Ayan o, 'di ba? Kapag ka naka-form ka ng straight line, that means we can easily identify that these two pairs of angle forms an equivalent of 180 degrees or in other words, supplementary nga sila. So, for example, let's have this following angles. So, paano ba tayo maka-identify ng mga consecutive angles dyan? So, one pair of consecutive angles could be angle P at angle L. Itong dalawa. Ayan. So, they are supplementary because if I try to move that angle P along that angle L, you will notice that it forms 180 degrees or a straight line. That means if I add the measurement of angle P plus the measurement of angle L, they will be equal to 180 degrees. And that is applicable for all of the different consecutive angles inside this given parallelograms. So if you also add the measurements of angle L and angle A, they will also form a straight line 180 degrees din or supplementary din sila. As well as adding the measurements of angle A and angle Y since both of them are also since the two angles are also consecutive, therefore they are supplementary, therefore ang sum nila ay 180 degrees. And lastly, it could also be on the two given angles, angle Y and angle P, their measurement also has a sum of 180 degrees dahil nga consecutive sila. At the same time, supplementary sila. Ayan. So, that is our third property of a parallelogram. Now, for us to somehow apply and easily understand how to apply this given property, let's have uh, parallelogram FAST as our given. So, ito yon. Yan, FAST. Okay, so on this first, if angle or the measurement of angle E is equal to 88 degrees, and now, class, what do you think is the measurement of angle T? Ano kaya yung measurement nito? If you subtract 88 degrees from 180, you will get 92 degrees. That means this property, supplementary para sa consecutive angles ay na-apply. Next, what is the measurement of angle S? You can subtract 92 from 180, or you can also apply the opposite angles are congruent kasi 'di ba? Ayan, opposite angles pa rin naman sila ni angle F, which is also 88 degrees. Let's proceed to the last one. What do you think is the measurement of angle A? Could be 180 minus 88 degrees. So, pwedeng siguro kumuha ka dito kay angle F or kay angle S. Ayan, that's equal to 92 degrees. Or, pwede rin naman siyang opposite siya ng angle T, which is also 92 degrees. So as you can see from this given third property of a parallelogram, hindi naman sa kanya sumasalungat or hindi naman sa kanya against yung second property natin na opposite angles are congruent. And actually, kung mapapansin nyo dito sa given natin, yan, nagkakasundo silang dalawa. Yan, kapag ka nakuha mo yung ah, supplementary sa kanya or yung consecutive sa kanya na supplementary angle, yung opposite dito congruent pa rin naman, 'di ba? So, gets po ba ang ating third property of a parallelogram? So, I hope so far so good, 'di ba? Next, proceed tayo sa pang-apat. Ito, familiar din tayo kasi meron to sa conditions of a quadrilateral that makes a parallelogram. So, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So, in this case, just an illustration. In a parallelogram FORM, since this one is a parallelogram, it says here that OM bisects FR. So, ayan, nakita nyo, naging color green si OM. So, ibig sabihin, gusto niyang hatiin si FR. That means ang mangyayari is magiging congruent yung segments FA at AR. On the other hand, kapag ka naman si FR yung nag-bisect sa isa pang diagonal which is also OM, ayan, mangyayari ay magiging congruent naman si MA dun sa segment na si OA. And that is the result of the diagonals bisecting each other. So katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, medyo familiar na tayo dito kasi meron tayong ganitong condition based on our lesson before. So let's have this example para mas maintindihan pa natin kung paano to ina-apply sa isang given parallelogram. So we have here uh, parallelogram THIN. So for example, if IK, ayan, I think this one is IK, ito. Line segment IK measures 12.5 centimeters. So class, ano sa tingin nyo yung measurement ni line segment TK? Since diagonal bisect each other, that two segments are congruent, therefore, they're also going to be 12.5 centimeters. Next, if HK is going to be equal to 15 centimeters, ayan, what do you think is the measurement of NK? Yan, it's also gonna be 15 centimeters. At diyan natin ngayon na i-apply yung diagonals bisect each other. Yan. Hopefully, naalala pa natin tong property na to pagdating sa ah, parallelogram. Kasi ganito rin naman yung ginagamit natin from our previous topic. Okay, so next, let's proceed with the last and the fifth property of a parallelogram. At ito rin yung pangalawa sa bago pagdating sa malalaman nating properties. Now, each diagonal divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. Now, how do we show that as an illustration? So, in parallelogram PUSH, yan, for example, ayan yung ating parallelogram PUSH, and we consider one of the diagonals, which is diagonal PS. So, this diagonal divides this given parallelogram into two congruent triangles. As you can see, ito nga yung dalawang triangles natin. Triangle PHS is congruent to triangle SUP. So if you try to cut that given parallelogram using that diagonal PS, mapapansin nyo na magkasing laki or parehas lang ng sukat itong dalawang triangles na nabuo na to. And what is the application of the two triangles being congruent? You will notice that these angles cut by this diagonal will also be congruent. So, ayang angle UPS is also congruent with angle HPS. At the same time, these two angles are also congruent. Aside from the angles that are congruent, ito given naman yan eh, di ba? Sa angle U, is congruent with angle H. Yan. All of the angles are congruent. At the same time, all of the sides are also congruent between uh, these two triangles being congruent. Kasi 'di ba yan nga yung tinatawag natin sa proving before na if the triangles are already congruent, magkakaroon ka ng reason na CPCTC. Congruent parts of congruent triangles are also congruent. Yan. So, lahat ng sides and angles niya magiging congruent din. So, aside from that, so each diagonal divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So, syempre, hindi lang naman si diagonal PS yung congruent, I mean yung diagonal natin dyan. Pwede rin natin maging diagonal, syempre, si ating diagonal UH or HU. So in that case, we will form another two pairs of congruent triangle, which is triangle HPU and triangle USH. The same thing as the first example, magiging congruent din tong dalawang to. Ayan. So that is what we mean by having diagonals dividing our parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So let's have this given example. We have here quadrilateral or a given parallelogram MASK. So ito yung given natin. We have already the two diagonals. So for diagonal KA, ayan, it divides this parallelogram into two triangles wherein triangle KSA, ayan nga, yun nakita nyo yung mas dark green na nasa taas is congruent with triangle AMK. Ito yung nasa baba. On the other hand, for diagonal MS naman, magiging congruent itong triangle MKS dun sa triangle SAM. So this is the last property of our parallelogram. So aside from the following examples that you see, we can also have this activity. Yan, para mas maintindihan pa natin. Kasi kanina, magkakahiwalay yung properties na yon. Ngayon naman, let's consider one given parallelogram. It's gonna be parallelogram SAFE. And let's answer the following.
Ayan. So, by the way, if you want to answer, you may raise your hand. Let's start with number 1. Ayan. So, ulitin ko lang, di ba, kapag ang tinutukoy natin ay yung segment at nawawala na yung bar sa taas that indicates it is a segment, that means we are looking for the measurement of it. Kapag ka naman katulad ng ganyan, meron pang bar, ibig sabihin, nahanap natin yung parallel or congruent sa kanya. Okay, let's start with number 1 once again. What do you think is the measurement of line segment AS based on our given drawing? Ayan. Yes, Stephen.
11 centimeters, sir.
Okay, very good. It's gonna be 11 centimeters. Tingnan natin. Yan, congruent siya ng side FE, kaya 11 din siya. So, let's have 11. Sulat natin, 11 cm. Next, number 2. Yes, Miracle.
15 cm po.
Okay, so 15 cm or 15 centimeters, line segment SE. Very good. So, this is also gonna be 15 centimeters. Next, let's have the measurement of angle AFE. Yan, ano kaya yung measurement ng angle AFE? Yes, Jericho.
60 degrees po, sir.
60 degrees. So, we are talking about this angle. So, i-trace ko muna siya. A, F, E. So, we're talking about this given angle. So, sabi ni Jericho, is it gonna be 60 degrees? Okay, very good. It's opposite angle, ASE. Therefore, they are congruent. Ayan, 60 degrees din siya. Next, let's have what they think now is the measurement of angle SAF. Ano kaya yung measurement ni angle SAF? Yes, Ella.
60 degrees.
Or is it also 60 degrees? Ilocate muna natin sa angle SAF. Ayan, dito sa angle SAF. I think we're talking about this given angle. Ayan, so Ella, is it your final answer? 60 degrees din ba sa angle SAF? Or gusto mong baguhin? Sige, Ella. Ano sa tingin natin ang measurement ni angle SAF? Kaparehas din ba niya yung dalawang opposite angles natin which is both 60 degrees? Yan.
120 po.
120 ano? 120?
Degrees po.
Okay, so is it 120 degrees? Yan. Bakit siya naging 120 degrees, Ella?
Minus ko po sa 180.
Yes, because angle angle SAF is consecutive with either of these two angles which measure 60 degrees. Tama yung ginawa mo. They are gonna be supplementary when it's sa kanyang consecutive angle which is angle A. That means this one is 120 degrees. Very good. Next, let's proceed with the measurement of angle SEF. Nako, yes, Eugene.
120 degrees po, sir.
Yan. So paano mo nakuha yung 120 degrees, Eugene?
Ano po sir, minus din po sa 180 or opposite side mo lang po
Yan,
sir.
very good. So we have both ways to answer 120 degrees. Opposite siya kay angle SAF, which is equal to 120 degrees din. Or pwede mo rin naman sabihin na minus mo rin siya sa minus mo yung 60 degrees sa 180. Kasi consecutive naman siya dun sa may 60 degrees na angle. Next, let's have line segment AF is parallel to, kanino kaya parallel sa line segment AF? Ayan. Sige, yes, Jericho.
Line segment SE po.
Ayan, so line segment AF is is parallel to line segment SE. Very good. Ayan, I think we can use this given symbol. Next, let's have line segment AS is parallel to, kanino siya kaya parallel? Yes, John Clarence.
SE po.
Yan, very good. It's gonna be parallel to line segment FE. So this both pairs of opposite sides are parallel to each other. Kasi nga parallelogram to. Next, what is the measurement of line segment AR? Ano kaya ang measurement niya? Yes, Windek.
3.2 centimeter.
Yan, so ano ulit? Windek?
3.2 centimeter.
Okay, 3.2 centimeters. Tingnan natin. Yes, it's gonna be 3.2 centimeters. Yan, wait lang, sulat natin. Kasi diagonals bisect each other. So 3.2 cm din siya. Next, what is the measurement of line segment SF? Yes, Julia.
12 centimeters po.
Paano mo nakuha yung 12 centimeters, Julia?
Minultiply ko po yung 6 centimeters sa 2.
Okay, very good. So, minultiply mo kasi dalawang 6 centimeters yan eh. Kasi diagonals bisect each other. Very good. So, both of them are 6 centimeters. So, times 2. Kaya naging 12 centimeters yung buong diagonal natin na SF. Diba? Na-apply pa rin yung diagonals bisect each other. Next, let's have the last one. Triangle SAF. I think we're talking about this triangle S... Ay, mali. Ito pala. SAF. O, tama. Ito. Yun nasa taas. Triangle SAF is congruent to triangle. Yes, Flora?
Triangle FES po.
Triangle FES. Oh, very good. Tamang-tama pa yung pagkakasulat ng tatlong letters. Yan. So, based on this given activity, we can say that even if the given parallelogram is only one, we can still apply all the 5 different properties that we have.
And aside from that, we can also apply these five different properties in solving for a given variable. Just in case we have this following examples. Ayan. So for number one, we have here a parallelogram FOUR, wherein we have the given segments x plus 2 as the measurement of FT and TU as equal to 9. And also RT and OT are given with algebraic expressions such as ty as 2y minus 5 and 5y minus 17. So from there, we can still apply yung property natin na diagonals bisect each other wherein itong ft will be congruent to ut or tu, and then we can solve for the value of x because both of them are having the same measurement. So we can say that x plus 2 is equal to 9. Yan, lipat natin si... If you know the answer, you can type your answers on the chat box. Ayan, so lipat lang natin si 2, magiging x is equal to 9 minus 2. Very good, Jana, Ella, and Aubrey. X will be equal to 7. Ayan, tama, Stephen and Bench. Let's proceed to the second one. Since ito rin ay congruent kasi nga diagonals bisect each other, we can say that RT is also equal with OT or TO. So, lipat yung 2y sa kanan, kaya siya magiging minus 2y. And then, lipat yung negative 17 sa kaliwa, kaya siya naging positive 17. Therefore, we have 17 minus 5, that's gonna be equal to 12. And 5y minus 2y, that's gonna be equal to 3y. Therefore, we'll be having 12 over 3 is equal to 3y. Divide both sides by 3 lang. Yes, Ayesha, Stephen, Glenn, I think all of us, Lance, Lorraine, Ella, and Martha, tama ang sagot nyo. Y is equal to 4. So from here, we were able to use diagonals bisect each other in compute in solving for the values of x and y on this given parallelogram. Next, ito naman sa number 2, we can apply the property that is opposite angles are congruent. Kapag naman dating sa angles sa parallelogram, dalawa lang naman yung properties na meron tayo. Opposite angles are congruent and consecutive angles are supplementary. So, pag-iisipan mo na lang kung ano dyan yung pwede mong gamitin. Especially kung dalawa yung kailangan mong gamitin, ano yung una mo dapat gamitin. So, I think from this given parallelogram, MATH, we can apply already the opposite angles are congruent. Kasi kung mapapansin mo, yung opposite angles natin yung parehas na may variable x pagdating sa kanilang mga given measurement. So, we can already apply that angle A is congruent with angle H. Yan. Okay, so we can say that 4x minus 13 is equal to 2x plus 21. So in this case, ayusin lang ulit natin, lipat natin yung 2x doon para maging minus 2x siya. Ito namang negative 13, lagay natin dyan so magiging plus 13 yon or positive 13. And kung mapapansin nyo, yan, minus 2x na siya. So we have 4x minus 2x is equal to 13 plus 21. We'll be having 2x is equal to 13 plus 21, which is equal to 34. If we divide both sides by 2, we can get x is equal to 17. In that case, ayan yung magiging value ng variable x natin. And then after that, we can now think of how were we able to solve for the measurement of angle M because that measures y degrees, 'di ba? So ano sa tingin natin yung dapat maging value ni y? In this case, pwede nating i-apply yung consecutive angles or supplementary. Although, we were able to solve for the variable x only. Hindi pa natin nakukuha yung measurement ng angle H or angle A. So, hindi natin agad-agad na pwedeng i-apply yung supplementary angle niya. So, isolve muna natin yung isa sa kanila. So, ang ginawa ko dito is, kinuha ko muna yung measurement ng angle A. So, using 4x minus 13, ayan. Yeah, for x minus 13, you can just substitute 17 for the value of x since yan yung solve natin. And yes, it's gonna be 68 minus 13. That's 4 times 17, yung 68. Yes, class, very good. Ang makuha natin, the measurement ni angle ay 55 degrees. So that means, this is 55 degrees. Yan, 55 degrees din si angle H. So parehas sila. Kasi opposite angles are congruent nga. So from there, we can now use that idea to solve for the value of y. Since angle M is equal to y and angle A is equal to 55 degrees, we can say that the sum of those two angles will be equal to 180. So therefore, if you subtract 55 degrees from 180, we can solve that. Ayan, y is equal to 125 degrees. Gets po? Ayan, supplementary angles sila. So kapag ganyan yung given, ang una mong step is kuhain mo muna yung value ni x bago mo ma-solve kung ano yung measurement ng angles and then you can use that variable or mean that angle uh, as a supplementary angle for whatever angle that is consecutive to it. Ayan. So let's go to the last set of examples wherein we also apply the different properties of a parallelogram. In this case, on this given, ma-apply naman natin yung opposite sides are congruent. So we have here parallelogram SWAY. Ayan. So in this case, we can say that side AY or the measurement of side AY, ito yun, is equal to the measurement of side WS. Opposite sides are congruent. So we have 6x minus 42 is equal to 4x. Ayan, nilipat ko yung 42 sa kanan at yung 4x sa kaliwa, kaya siya naging minus 4x at naging positive na yung 42 natin. Making it 6x minus 4x is equal to 2x equal to 42. If we divide both sides by 2, we can get x is equal to 21. And applying the same property, we can also say that this line segment AW has the same measurement with line segment YS. So we can say that 6y minus 12 is equal to 2y plus 36. Ayan. So the same, we can solve for the value of y. Lipat natin yung 2y sa kabila, magiging negative 2y. And then ito namang negative 12 sa kanan, magiging plus 12 or positive 12 na ngayon siya. So we have 6y minus 2y, which is equal to 4y. And then 12 plus 36, which is equal to 48. If we divide both sides by 4, we can get x is equal to 12. Gets po? Ayan. So, madali lang kapag sides and diagonals bisect each other yung nagiging property natin. At least hindi tayo magkakaroon ng idea na congruent talaga sila eh. Kasi pagdating sa angles, katulad nito, dalawa yung choices mo eh. Congruent ba sila or supplementary. Like this number, we have here parallelogram RMHS. In this case, we are to decide ano ba yung unang pwede natin gamitin. Kasi as you can see, yan, meron tayo ditong consecutive at the same time, meron din tayong opposite angles na present dito. So, Ang choice mo dyan is depende dun sa given mo na variables. So, saan ba dyan yung may parehas agad na variables? Now, as you can see, we have both variables x on the angles such as angle M and angle H. Now, we cannot say that they are congruent because they are consecutive angles. At ang relationship ng consecutive angles pagdating sa parallelogram ay supplementary. So, hindi mo sila pwedeng gawing equal. 16x plus 15 is equal to 9x plus 15. Mali yun. Kasi hindi sila congruent. So, ano yung gagawin natin? We apply the idea of these two angles being supplementary. So, how do we do that? E di, kapag kainad mo yung measurement ni angle M at ni angle H, it is equal to 180 degrees. Let's try to substitute the following expression na given sa bawat angle na to. So, since angle M measures 16x plus 15 and angle H measures 9x plus 15, so kapag kainad mo tong dalawang set of angles na yan, it is equal to 180 degrees. So, simplify na lang muna natin by adding 16x at 9x magiging 25x at yung dalawang 15 magiging 30. So, we now have 25x plus 30 is equal to 180 degrees and it's easier for us to solve for the value of x. Lipat natin si 30, magiging 180 minus 30. So, it will now become 25x is equal to 150. If we divide both sides by 25, we get the measurement of x which is equal to 6. And from there, we can now identify either of the two angles. And by the way, they are not congruent. Supplementary pa rin naman sila. So, dito ka na ngayon mag-iisip. Yes, na-solve ko na yung value ni x at I already have the value of one of the variables. But there is still the value or the variable y given as the measurement of angle S. Now, as you can see, meron kang dalawang choice. Ito. Pwede mong kuhain yung measurement ni angle H. Tapos, supplementary sila ni angle S. Although, ima-minus mo pa sa 180 ito. Kasi 'di ba kung ano man yung value ni angle H, supplementary siya. So, ma-minus mo pa siya from 180 para makuha yung value ni y. Pero, mas madali ata kapag ka diniretso ko na sa measurement ni angle M. Kasi opposite na siya kay measurement of angle S. That means they will be congruent or parehas lang yung value niya. So, mas wise ka kung ginamit mo yung angle M agad. So, if you want to get the measurement of angle M, you can just substitute the value of x, which is 6, to the given expression, 16x plus 15. So, palitan natin ng 6 yan. Magiging 16 times 6. So, it will become 96 plus 15. It's gonna be equal to 111 degrees. So, this is gonna be 111 degrees. Therefore, since equal si the angle or congruent si angle S at si angle M, pwede nating sabihin na si Y ay parehas lang na 111 degrees. Ayan. So, ganun din naman kapag gumamit ka ng angle H. Eventually, you will able to solve this one as 6 to 9 degrees. So, that is also supplementary with angle S or angle M. So, parehas lang. Yan. Although, mas mabilis nga lang kapag diniretso mo na sa angle M kasi yun na rin yung measurement ni Y. Gets po? Ayan. So, yan ang iba't ibang applications when it comes to solving algebraic expressions that is given as the values of the sides and angles of a parallelograms. At yan na rin ata ang ating last example for our lesson for today. I hope you understand the lesson for today. Until next time, bye!